3, 2, 1.
Sun is on the rise, all the way to sunset. Ain't no big surprise on this thread of regret. The answer's in disguise, clear as can be, out there among the ruins. But the only thing I see, now where else would you be? You is me. What you get is what you see. What you see, you and me. If we were living separate lives, I'd be looking for you, wondering where our paths collide. If we were living separate lives, you'd be the one that got away, but all my life. Never-ending quest for the shiny apple on the tree, an unbending search for what was meant to be. As we fumble through the dark for things we can't see, at least I've got you here. Here alone with me. Now where else would you be? You is me. What you get is what you see. What you see, you and me. If we were living separate lives, I'd be looking for you, wondering where our paths collide. Separate lives, you'll be the one that got away, but on my mind, baby, on my mind, yes, oh yeah, you're on my mind. Separate lives, I'd be looking for you, wondering where our paths collide. If we were living separate lives, you'd be the one that got away. If we were living separate lives, I'd be looking, wondering where our paths collide. If we were living separate lives, you'd be the one that got away, but on my mind. Oh, baby, you're on my mind.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you, Conrad, what are some of your influences as far as your guitar heroes?
Oh boy. Well,
do they have that much time?
We might run it. Yeah. Eddie Van Halen, huge inspiration. I was fortunate enough to see my hero twice. It was incredible. George Lynch from Dokken.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, there's a lot of really good session players of that era. Greg Howe, Blue Saraceno, Michael Lee Perkins, all those Varney Shrapnel label, Guitar for the Practicing Musician label.
Blue Saraceno. I mean, there's a name I haven't heard in years. I mean, I think so many people have forgotten about that guy.
Absolutely incredible musician. I mean, it's funny. Every time you turn on the TV, you still hear him. He's doing more commercial music than you'd imagine. But
I mean, I got to ask you. I got to ask you. Did you ever hear the album he did with Poison?
Yeah, it was great.
there's some killer stuff. It's a shame that album didn't, go a little more into the stratosphere, but I thought that was a pretty cool album they did with him.
That was great. Richie Cotton, another one of my favorites as well.
Oh, I so love what he is doing with the Winery Dogs. I mean,
yes.
And if you go back and you check out what Richie was doing, like when he was a teenager, like those guitar albums he was making, I mean, those are almost full blown on metal, and he's become more of a whoever knew that he was a great singer, And I love what he's doing with the Winery Dogs. I mean, he's just killing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually just heard the Winery Dogs, the new record, a couple cuts from it the other day, and I
think it's their best album since their debut. I mean, I've loved all their stuff, but
it sounds really good too.
It's a really solid album.
It seems like it's good stuff, and it also sounds really good. That the other one was a little drum heavy for me, but this one, the mix is really solid.
Yeah, I'm with you. This album, kind of like the debut album, that's what I liked about it. It's more of a solid album. I thought the second album was, like you said, really kind of going in the heavier direction, a little extreme for the Winery Dogs, but I love what they're doing on this new album. I think it's very fitting for the times,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Good stuff.
And so, Michael, like with Escape the Hive, like you really honed in on your writing. I mean, again, this seems like a real solid album for you, and I think I think once this album hits, I mean, people are going to start, oh, this guy Michael Beck, who used to play with Jakey Lee. Wow, he's got his own thing going now.
He does.
Yeah.
It's this whole thing came together really organically.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how the record turned out.
Yeah.
So, we are really anxious to get out there, play it live.
Yeah.
And just to start working the record the way it should be, after that huge letdown of 2020, 21, where we couldn't do any of that. So,
And of course, I hate to make comparisons, but I think that was the one problem with the Red Dragon Cartel is, okay, like on the first album, it's the first thing Jake had done in like 20 years, and it's kind of like you've got different players on that album. And with the last, the last go around that you were part of, it was a different singer, and again, except for people knowing it's Jakey Lee. I think, but with this band, it's you got a solid lineup. It's the record kind of has a solid sound, if you know what I mean. It seems more like a group effort, and I think the more people hear this, they're going to really be digging it.
Well, I appreciate that, and when you make a record, you always make the record for yourself, because if you make it for someone else, you're just chasing a tail.
Yeah.
But the thing that's nice about doing this record is that we kind of, everything got put together, like I said, pretty organically. All the songs kind of came out, and we didn't, although we had a pretty good idea of what we wanted to do in mind, it worked out. And a lot of bands will, and we're one of them, you make a record and you put a band together for stuff that you would like to see. That's the kind of band that I wanted to see. I noticed a lot of, like I said, a lot of Zeppelin bands, the Greta Van Fleet and Rival Sons, and I love all those bands.
Yeah.
But I would have liked seen something that was a little more of the other side of the 70s.
See,
so
that's the thing. I listen to this music, and I feel that you've put your stamp all over it. I mean, and as a singer, as a frontman, that's what you want to do. I mean, I would imagine this is a very different feeling. I mean, it's more of a feeling. It's your band where you don't have to have somebody tell you, oh, no, this isn't the way I want you to sing it, or this is how I heard the song in my head. You can do it how you want
it. And that's a bit of what the name is all about. Escape the Hive is just that. That's kind of where that all comes from. So.
And so you and Conrad obviously have been friends for years, as you said. So how about the other guys in the band? Or have you known them as well from your years of playing?
Yeah. Paul Williams, the bass player, is I've known for several years. He's been a touring bass player for a lot of different people.
Okay.
So he's always kind of been one that I've wanted to work with. Mike Vars is our keyboard player. He also does a lot of great harmony work, and you can't really have a 70s band without a keyboard player who sings harmony.
Yeah.
And then our drummer, A.D. Adams, is another guy that, I mean, the list of who he hasn't worked with is much shorter. So he's actually a guy that I've wanted on the last couple records that I've been, and it just didn't work out. So I'm glad it worked out on this one.
And we may be showing our age here, but I see you wearing your Black Sabbath shirt. Can you believe 50 years, a lot of their music's turning 50 years old. I can't believe I've been around that long. Yeah.
I know. I was a Sabbath fan early on. The battle rages on, whether it's Ozzy or Dio. But
I was going to ask you about that. I'm kind of a fan of it all. I really dug the Dio stuff. But I love it all. You know what I mean?
I'm going to break some sacrilege here.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the Dio stuff. I not that I don't like the Ozzy stuff, but man, when Dio walked into that band, it was something that blew the top of my head off.
Well, here's the thing: people got to realize, is even when Ozzy was in the band, the original lineup was still together. It was Geezer Butler that wrote all the songs, not Ozzy. And Ozzy was just kind of delivering Geezer's lyrics, and that's why if you know anything about Ozzy's solo career, he's always got these other guys in the band that are great, great writers. And Dio, in fact, I've heard Geezer over the years talk about, well, once we got Ronnie, I didn't need to do any of the writing. He was great, so I could just take a break from all that. And you got to remember when Ozzy left, everybody thought it was over for Sabbath, so that's why you got to think, wow. Ronnie kept it going,
He absolutely did, and I, that it split off into two really good records instead of one.
Yeah. And I don't know if you got a chance, Michael, to see the Dio movie, but they were showing it on Showtime. You get a chance to see it. You're a Dio fan. I urge you to check it out.
I haven't seen that yet, but it's on the list.
Yeah. It's great stuff because they even go back to when he was in Ronnie and the Prophets, and he looked nothing like the metal god, but we know he had little short hair. He was like kind of a crooner singer. He started out playing the trumpet, so I was glad that they kind of told the whole story.
I just saw the Randy Rhoads documentary here a couple weeks ago. That one is really good too.
And Randy Rhoads, and I'm assuming Conrad, you were probably influenced by him as well, right?
Can't beat Randy. Incredible phrasing, incredible songwriter. Yeah. I mean, his the stereo solo aspect, recording aspect was so revolutionary. And it's only a tone I've ever heard, a sound I've ever heard from Randy.
And again, bringing it back to Ozzy, I've heard Ozzy in interviews talk about that Randy Rhoads was the first person ever in his life to actually sit down and teach Ozzy how to really write a song. And what's amazing about Randy's legacy, of course, he died tragically young, I think 24 years old, and he's got really those two Ozzy albums. That's all he left behind. And look at the legacy that guy has.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, even Cliff Burton, he recorded one more album than Randy, but that's another guy that died tragically young, and people are still loving him all these years later.
Well, hopefully we can get at least a couple of records out of.
I hope so. Yeah.
Conrad before we ice him off.
No. I was just talking about Randy's influence. It's kind of amazing when you stop and realize that guy didn't have a huge catalog of music, and yet he has a huge fan base.
Exactly. Lots of impact.
Absolutely.
And why I can't wait to hear the rest of your guys' album is again. It kind of got, like you said, it's kind of a classic rock vibe, but what I think they have in common is they're well-written songs. And what I mean is, if you look at any of our favorite classic rock songs that would be played 40, 50 years later, still on the radio, why is that? Because they were great songs, they were well-written, they had great hooks, memorable lines, and those are the bands, I think, that we'll be talking about 40, 50 years from now,
Well, I'll take that all day long. So
Yeah.
if you're talking about us 5 years from now, I'm happy about that.
Exactly. And
Let's take small steps.
oh yeah, I'm just saying though, if you look at the bands that have really lasted, it's because they got very strong songwriting, and I've honed in on all these songs I've heard from you so far, well written songs, and I think anybody listens to these songs, even one time, they're going to be, oh wow, who is this? I can't wait to get the debut album. I can't wait to hear some more from this band.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's nice to hear you say that, and I hope once we get the record out, it's as well received.
Have you guys done any live shows yet?
We actually have it next week, and then there's a couple this month. We do a kind of a showcase set here next week, and then the one that I'm really looking forward to, we go to Los Angeles and play the Whiskey with Angel.
Wow. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
And
sure.
How did you guys get that show? Was it a matter of them reaching out to you? Did your agent hook you up with them?
We have been kind of, our manager had talked with the people at the Whiskey, and we'd kind of been talking with them, going back and forth, and just a show just hadn't kind of worked out. There had been a couple in the works, and they contacted me and said, hey, we've got this, this kind of 70s era lead band, and I don't know if you guys would fit with them. I'm like, Angel? Absolutely. A keyboard hard rock band? Yeah, we're in.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. And so are you guys signed to a label as of yet? Are you working on that?
Yeah. The record is will be out on Vanity Music Group, Shock Records. Okay. In fact, if you go to our Facebook page, there's a thing called Linktree that I know nothing about, but Conrad does. Yeah. He set it all up.
Yeah.
And if you go to Linktree, you can actually pre-order the record now. Wow. And if you do, you get 3 tracks off the record digitally right away. So it's kind of cool both sides.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that more and more pop up. As I go to different bands' Facebook page and stuff, it'll have like an official link, and then it'll take you to Linktree, and then this is the band's YouTube. This is where you find them on Facebook. So
I knew nothing about it until Conrad told me, and I'm like, Link, what?
The resources are there. We might as well utilize them.
Yeah. It's kind of a one-stop spot. Yeah,
clean, easy platform for anybody to engage.
It's great.
It's direct engagement with us.
And it's cool because it. I finally got this just the other day. Linktree. Oh, it's got all the links on it. It's like a tree. I get it.
Yeah.
You can go to all the digital platforms. You can go to, we have 2 lyric videos out now. You can go straight to those. You can get, we just put t-shirts up there, so you can get Escape the Hive t-shirt, and you can pre-order the upcoming release, which we want you to do.
Yeah. And so Conrad, again, I wish the sound was coming in better. Maybe we'll have better luck next time. We'll welcome you guys back and try it again. But you look very comfortable with your guitar in your hand. I'm willing to bet you got it in your hand most of the time, like kind of strumming your chords and trying to create music.
Yeah, it's a third arm at this point. Yeah, my dad put a guitar in my hands when I was 5, and I haven't stopped since. So
you come from a musical family. Like, did your mom and dad kind of encourage you to play, or did you always want to have an interest in it yourself?
Yeah, so my dad was taught by Mark Thompson, who was George Lynch's guitar teacher. So the influence heavily wore onto me. And I started playing. I grew up listening to, Dokken and Yngwie and Van Halen, so I didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the music.
Remind me to thank your dad.
Yeah, next time you see him, I fell in love with that decadent 80s guitar pyrotechnics. It was so flashy and so in your face, and it was the day of the gunslingers.
Exactly.
And I fell in love with that. And I think nowadays, hearing guitar like that it's kind of refreshing. It's different in the aspect of modern guitar shred, because it's become very technical in a rhythmic aspect, with like that and back in the day it was just melodic lines mixed with as many notes as you can play in a second, and it's just fun, you know. It's like there's no care in the world. It was just like whatever stuck, you know.
See, and just in talking to you guys today and seeing you sit there, I kind of can envision you guys getting together as a band and kind of just jamming out songs now. Like when you do a show at the Whiskey, let's say, imagine you're gonna have your amps and electric guitar and that, but could you see yourself like breaking out an acoustic guitar and, you know, and taking a moment there?
The Whiskey is going to be a pretty tight set. So
yeah.
But it's a great, I mean, we'll get to play pretty much everything that's on the record. I think maybe sans one or two songs. So we'll get to play the whole record for the most part.
That's pretty cool. Wow.
When we retire and slow down, we'll do an unplugged, you know, just revisit the old material.
So when you guys were recording the album, I was curious, were you all in the same studio? Did everybody record, you know, have their own private studios at home, or what's the process?
No. We did it all at Sound Vision Recording, which my day job. I'm a producer by day.
Okay.
So that helped out a little bit, and we did it all here. We did it. It kind of depends on the song. Some were recorded live with overdubs. Some were recorded, you know, drums first. Some, you know, it just kind of depended on the song.
Oh, it sounds good. So, you know, so what's it like? I mean, it's one thing being in the studio, you know, producing another band, but do you have trouble? I mean, it doesn't sound like it to me, but I mean, do you feel that you're able to kind of have an objective ear, if you know what I mean, being that this is your band, your music?
Well, as far as, let me say this, usually when a band member tries to record their own record, it's the kiss of death. It really is.
Yeah.
And the reason is, and there's a couple of them, is because it's hard to be objective about stuff you're so close to.
Sure. Yeah.
I relied on these guys an awful lot through the recording process to, you know, does this sound like it's in the pocket? Does this, you know, is this where it's supposed to be? And so making, you know, bouncing it off other members is one thing, but making sure, and this is what a producer does. So I kind of switched hats back and forth. You know, a producer just really runs the session.
Sure.
Holds you accountable to timing. So as long as you know, if you don't have a date, then you don't really have a plan. You just have something that's out in the ether. So having a date on something, even if the date changes, it makes it a little more of a deadline to where, you know, you don't spend 6 years doing drum tracks. So I try to make sure that when I was in here doing the Escape the Hive record, that I'm wearing, even though I'm wearing multiple hats, I'm wearing one at a time. So
there you go.
The whole way through the drums and through all that, I'm just producing.
Yeah, but the reason I asked about the recording, because, you know, I think when we were growing up, bands used to, that's the way a record was made. Everybody would be in the same room together. And I understand a lot of these times, you know, these days people do it because for financial reasons, they have their own recording studios in their houses. Makes sense. But if you're able to do it like that, I think you could really tell the difference, you know, that, oh yeah, they were in the room together. This sounds kick-ass, you know?
I mean, like I said, time is a great thing to have, but it is something that you will burn through an awful lot of if you don't put deadlines on stuff to get it done. And so that's where the producer comes in to make sure that happened. Otherwise, we'd still be working on song 3.
Yeah. Well, Michael and Conrad, I've talked to Michael before. Conrad, it was great meeting you, and I'd love to have you guys back. And next time, we'll definitely see if we can get a couple songs out of you, because, man, I just didn't want to waste your time, because it was like, man, they're breaking in and out, and people aren't going to be able to really hear it. But it was great talking to you guys, because I think anybody who watches this, they're going to get your vibe like I did, and I just got a killer chemistry, and I can't wait to see you guys live. So I look forward to that.
Forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and all of you out there. Yes, you too, and you, and you.
Oh, you missed that one.
There's the. He was running away. Get him. Pre-order that.
You can't escape it. Great killer music from these guys coming out on their debut album. So look for that later this year. And once the album comes out, I'm going to listen to the whole thing, and I will definitely invite you guys to come back.
Oh, that'd be great. We appreciate it.
That. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.